Welcome to another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. I am your host, Joel Hoxley, and Angela's going to have to introduce herself because I just can't introduce this wonderful human being that's been working so hard with our internship. So tell them about yourself.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Angelina. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much. So today's story, as you might be surprised, is actually from Michigan. I know nothing interesting ever happens in Michigan, but there is something today. So this story is a little bit older. It's about a few weeks old, but we're going to be talking about what's going on in Hamtramck. If I mispronounce that, sorry, get over it.
There you go.
But what's going on is that there seems to be a battle between religious people, mostly Muslims, and the LGBT community. So during the time of this, the people actually, meaning the city council, they are the ones who decided that they don't want to see the LGBT flag, the pride flag, on any city buildings. So there is some confusion going on where it's any private property. No, it's just the city buildings themselves. So what do you think, Joel, of them banning the pride flag on city buildings?
Uh, it's a government facility.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to lean towards the fact that there shouldn't be anything but a U.S. flag.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a state flag, a city flag, and a POW flag. Should be the only things that are authorized to be flown on those buildings. But that should be natural. They shouldn't have to come up with a law to say we need to keep the LGBTQ plus
Divided sign, subtraction.
I mean, I don't even know which pride flag we're on right now,
Mhm.
but we have like 3 renditions now. We have
Exactly.
we have one that has
Just
trans
in
on it.
2023.
Yeah, 2023, 2 flags came out.
Exactly.
But I'm a supporter of the LGBTQ flag. I do believe that the LGBTQ community has a right to, promote themselves just like anybody else in this country. Whether my beliefs are there, but I'm always uncomfortable. I'm a big supporter, and I'm uncomfortable when I'm walking out of the VA hospital and there's a pride flag and a Juneteenth flag, and there's no American flag
Exactly.
on the way out the door. And I'm like, okay, I get Juneteenth is now a holiday. That flag means something. The LGBTQ community is having Pride Month.
Absolutely.
It's unsettling.
It really is. Well, to go back to what you were saying, that's exactly what the city officials are doing. So instead of having the pride flag, they said that they want to make sure, and I'm quoting this, I'm reading it directly from the resolution itself, but it's saying that only the American flag, the flag of the state of Michigan, the Hamtramck flag, I'm sorry again if I'm mispronouncing that, the prisoner of war flag, and the nation's flag that represent the international character of our city shall be shown.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, yeah, they might actually have some foreign dignitaries that come
Right.
there, so they might. Wow, I mean that just should be natural.
It really should.
I mean, I don't understand why it would be any different. I mean, you can be as liberal in this area. Again, I'm a conservative. I never had any problem with the gay community. Never had any problem with understanding where they're coming from. But I also live in a country that everybody has a right to speak up. So whether you consider it a sin or you consider it wrong, look, I tell everybody every day I'm married without even telling them I'm married, right?
There you go.
So that's a symbol. So it's just a symbol, and it shouldn't, but we shouldn't be promoting anybody's agenda. So I agree with the city, but for the city to get attacked
Absolutely.
because
multiple occasions.
they're writing it out, because as our producer said, this is mosque versus state. I
Exactly.
mean, this is a predominantly Islamic community,
Absolutely.
and if anybody in their scripture has a problem with the homosexual community, it's the Quran. It's very clear. In the Bible, it has its section. I don't think it's as we
Clearly.
can debate this one anytime because it's like
Exactly.
it says one thing, but does it really, it's for interpretation.
Absolutely.
I accept their community. I just don't need them to, I don't want them to indoctrinate.
Absolutely.
So that's what a lot of people get upset with the flag for.
Yes, exactly. So I am on the side of both of these. Both sides are completely wrong in this instance. So I believe that it's a little bit of tit for tat. So of course this is not the actual law itself. This is the reaction to the law. But there's a lot of tit for tat on both sides. So for an example, during one of the city council's meetings, there was I think it's a lesbian couple. I can't really tell based off of how they look, but it seems like it's a lesbian couple. And they are making out, literally making out right in front of a Muslim, in front of a Muslim man. And you can see that he's visibly uncomfortable. And the idea was to make him uncomfortable, of course. It was their way of saying F you, I guess. But this woman is literally wearing a clown nose as she's making out with another woman. And to me, you can't expect people to respect you whenever you do things like that. But the Muslims are not innocent. Now, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in the Muslim religion, but there are some similarities between Christianity and Islam. Now, a lot of Muslims are also hating on the LGBT community, and it's pure hatred. There was lots of videos on the internet of extreme Muslim groups egging the houses that had the pride flag on it. So in this case, I feel like I am more against the religious group because that's a representation of us. Now, of course, it's still Islam, so it's not necessarily a direct representation of me. But if I were to put it in the perspective of a Christian doing that, I would condemn that action. Because if you are egging someone's house, if you are cussing out someone that that doesn't believe in heterosexuality, then you are equally in the wrong. It's all about how you go about it.
Well, I think I understand what you're saying,
Mhm.
but I also, first of all, perception.
Mhm.
Like we were joking prior to this, boobies on the White House lawn.
Exactly.
I mean, that whole scene that David and I talked about in the past was wrong,
It
right?
was.
It was. You don't take the American flag down and drape the LGBTQ community's flag, and
No.
then have somebody as a leader in your organization
Yes.
do a social outburst like that.
Mhm.
I don't condone what the Muslim community did,
Mhm.
but I understand.
Oh
So
yeah, I understand the anger.
I want both sides to understand one really important thing is the retaliation from these religious groups is because of how much they push
Yes.
their agenda. And it's just like you going out in the neighborhood and trying to evangelize, right? It's the Bible says to
Evangelize.
make sure that you tell people about Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
The Muslims, they have their, the Quran has Jesus in it several
Absolutely.
times
Mhm.
because he really existed and they
Absolutely.
think of him as a prophet. So when you start looking at all these religions, they all all come
Absolutely.
to some agreement, and the one agreement is that it's a sin to it's a sin, right?
Right.
But I can tell you all kinds of sins. I mean, you wake up, you're sinning sometimes.
It's true.
Because, like Martin Luther, he explained it this way,
Mhm.
right? If you lust in your heart,
Yes.
is no different than if you lust outwardly.
Absolutely.
So there's that extreme, and then there's the extreme. Then there's the, you know, uh, I just go to church. I only go to church twice a year. I'm a C and E. I'm a C and E. I get there,
C&E Christian.
make sure I do my one communion for a year. It's I can make fun of my religion. I can make fun
Absolutely.
of a lot of things, but this is a serious subject. When when you're pushing religion into the closet because you came out of the closet, that's a problem. And that's why they're getting all this pushback. It's
Absolutely.
because there's no tolerance. How can I tolerate a community that I'm not supposed to,
Absolutely.
right? But I do, right? If I follow my religion, it's something that I'm supposed to condemn, but I don't, because I think in the United States, it's totally different. Now, if I'm in their country, if I'm in a Christian country or I'm in a Muslim country, I get it.
Right.
I mean, Muslims will put you to death for this, right?
Exactly.
That's how serious it is. But we're in the United States of America. What is freedom if we don't have freedom?
Absolutely.
You should have the freedom to sleep with whoever you want to, how many people you want to, whatever. I don't listen.
Just because you have the freedom, that doesn't mean that you should.
Well, I mean, you don't have to take. You don't have to
Please
take
don't do
advantage. You don't have to
that.
take advantage of it. But no, like books, I don't ban books. I don't care what's written inside the book. If I don't like it, I don't read it.
Exactly.
And if I don't recommend it to somebody, I don't like it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm in the United States to be offended
Absolutely.
and happy to be offended. But you need to be happy to be offended by me too.
It's true.
And that's the problem.
Well, I think to go back to what you were saying about the religious people and Muslims in general, the reason why I get a little bit more upset with the religious folks is because
They're supposed to know
be,
better.
Yes, we're supposed to know better. Especially as Christians, we are supposed to know better. We're supposed to be almost Christ-like. Now, of course, we're still sinners. We're gonna still make mistakes. We're trying to be Christ-like, but we're not Christ. So we're never going to be perfect like Christ. However, it's whenever we spout fear, and it's whenever we spout hatred towards other groups, that's the issue. Now, of course, please, if you are a Christian, be against homosexuality. It is a sin. Be against homosexuality, but still love the person. Because, even as Christians,
Love the person, not the sin.
Exactly. Love the sinner, hate the sin.
Yeah.
And, I think that's exactly what we're missing. Even in, modern day Christianity, I believe that, now this is what I like to call cafeteria Christianity.
Okay.
Where you pick and choose what you want to believe. So for an example, I know Christians, mostly Catholics, not to throw my family under the bus, but they pick and choose what they want to believe. Like my family is not a regular church going family, but that's okay. However, homosexuality is not okay, right? I can lie and that's okay, but homosexuality isn't. And I understand where they're coming from, but all sin is equal in God's eyes.
Mhm.
And, I get that we're mostly talking about homosexuality in this regards. However, it is one of many sexual sins. For an example, most Christians have sex before marriage. That is a sin. But, a lot of people in the Christian community still do it. Now it is up to them. David, put your hand out.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. So now I'm gonna interrupt you
Uh-huh.
because I think you're making a good point, but I also want to kind of point out that this is a symbol.
Absolutely.
And if I'm throwing my symbol in your face
Mhm.
and you're throwing it back at me, there's never going to be a settlement.
Mhm.
Now you're being awful harsh to the faithful,
Absolutely.
and I see why. But listen, don't you get to a point where you're being silenced? It gets frustrating.
It does. And that's why I'm understanding towards them. However, I still try to act as Christ-like as I can. I try to hold my tongue as best I can, because for me, the anger really comes out whenever you're putting this message onto children. Whenever you're trying to convince a child that homosexuality is right. That's whenever the anger comes out in me. But I do try to be respectful towards the community, because how am I going to show them who Christ is if I'm showing them hate, if I'm showing the opposite of who Christ is?
But if they already go in with pre-assumptions,
Hmm.
they already think that the minute you tell them you're a Christian that you hate
Absolutely.
them, right? They automatically, you hate them.
Absolutely.
You make a good point,
Mhm.
because a lot of people don't realize, Christian
Mhm.
just means that you're on a journey to
Absolutely.
try to be as Christ-like as
As you
possible.
can.
You,
Trust me,
you're
it's
never
not an
going to
easy
be
journey.
you're never going to be successful at that perfect,
Absolutely.
but at least you're striving for it.
Absolutely.
Muslims, they're very faithful.
They
They're
are.
very faithful. They truly believe in Allah, and they do things that Christians don't even do. Like
Absolutely.
to go and have to go to Mecca to
Right.
do these things to make sure you're done before you die.
Right.
It,
Well,
That's a
that's
very, very, very fasting. We
Oh,
can
yeah.
talk about fasting, but they fast. Like
They fast.
it's like no eating from sun up to sundown. You get a nice big meal before you go to bed, which is worst time to eat.
Exactly. Well, that's like what I've noticed with the Islamic community is that it's very legalistic, versus with Christianity, it's all about the relationship with God. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't Christians that treat Christianity as a legalist, as a legalist religion. However, I feel that in the Islamic community, it's more, this is what the Quran says. We have to go based off of this stuff. And I have seen it because a lot of my family members are Islamic. I, of course, am not, but whenever my uncle was on his deathbed, because he wasn't considered a good Muslim, I think that's his uncle. I don't even know. I think it was his brother, someone, I don't know. But another relative of ours, he was a devout Muslim man, and he refused to put on a prayer. He refused to say any prayers for him on his deathbed because he wasn't considered a good Muslim.
Really, that's
And
but how many countries?
Mhm.
If you look at this, Christianity used to be Catholic.
Oh
The
yeah.
Catholic Church dominated
Oh yeah.
the entire European landscape. You get the Reformation 505 years ago. I know that for one reason only. But this is the Reformation was a change. But how many countries are actually Christian countries?
Right.
Not very many.
Not very many.
But Muslims, they have a whole system of government,
Absolutely.
and right now it's all targeted at the Jews, and it's man-made. Like we made that issue.
Absolutely. We did.
Now we made it because somebody did a bad thing, but at the end of the day, I agree with what the city did. I don't like the fact that the LGBTQ community plus um, is there's a time and a place for this. This is
Absolutely.
not this should not be an argument. Your flag is no better or bigger, or it
Absolutely.
has no right to come to the standard, and that's what a flag is, a standard. If you got the joke. So you come to the standard of being on a flagpole of the government. Because if the government starts to if the government starts to endorse homosexuality in that way, then that's almost like a religion. And our
True.
country needs to stay out of the bedroom.
Absolutely.
So my final word is you never talk to anybody like myself, because I believe that marriage is a tax,
Mhm.
and it's a tax that should not be. That no man, no woman, no man or woman should have to pay a state to get married. I believe the church needs to step up and take marriage back. And then our government, if they want to keep taxing it, they should tax it as, as a civil union, right?
Absolutely.
You got a civil union license, then you can go to your church and your church can marry you. And guess what? Catholics would less likely be divorced because they would be married by the church and the church would kick them out.
That's very true.
So that's how extreme I am. I don't like taxes. I don't like any additional taxes. So you'll find I'm totally say freedom is freedom.
Absolutely. And my final word is, listen, I'm proud of Michigan, and I think that we need to do something as a whole in our nation, because it's ridiculous that we see on the White House the representation of America showing things about the LGBTQ community. It should just be about America. It should be about uniting the country. So, congratulations again to Michigan for doing such an awesome job with that. But I leave with you this. This is also for my Christian brother and sisters, but also for the LGBTQ community. Please think about how you're going about this stuff, because it's not always what you're fighting, it's how you're going about it. So that is my final word. Thank you so much for watching this show of You Can't Make This Shit Up. If you want to make political innovation go viral, please hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell, because you wouldn't want to miss an episode, right?
I never miss an episode.
Exactly. I don't want to miss another episode. So please ring that notification bell, like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, because we have a lot of great posts for you guys. Follow us on X, because I don't know why Twitter decided to do that. And Threads. Is that all? Facebook too. Like us on Facebook. All
and
right.
most important, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
If you're not LinkedIn, then you're not part of the family. And if you're not part of the family, we can't grow. Thank you very much. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up.
Thank you. Bye.